UFC 222 is this weekend. In the should-be main event, Frankie Edgar takes on Brian Ortega when he puts his #1 contendership for the featherweight title on the line. A couple weeks ago, I did an episode right after Max Holloway pulled out of that title fight. At the time, Edgar hadn't been booked against Ortega, but the main focus of what I was saying was just basically all praise for Frankie being more than willing to not wait for that title shot and to take on all comers. Edgar has been screwed out of title shots in the past, and given how quickly the landscape changes in this sport, at the time I felt like Frankie should just sit out and wait for that title shot instead of taking an unnecessary risk. But it's the fact that Edgar is willing to fight the top contenders and not try to handpick favorable matchups and avoid the bad matchups that makes Frankie Edgar Frankie Edgar. So of course he accepted a very dangerous fight against an absolute stud in Brian Ortega. Ortega, who is yet to lose a fight in the UFC, is coming off of the biggest win of his career after he submitted Cub Swanson and took home that Performance of the Night bonus award after scoring a highlight reel guillotine choke. He's also riding a 5-fight winning streak in which he's finished everyone that stood before him during that time. The 27-year-old Fresno, California native is coming into his physical prime, and it shows. Couple that with the fact that his confidence is at an all-time high, and that makes for an extremely dangerous fight for anybody in the featherweight division. I'm not really a Vegas odds guy, but I sometimes find it's interesting to see what the bookmakers set the numbers at. And upon checking it out, I'm seeing that they have Frankie set as a slight favorite, but just barely, which I think speaks volumes about Ortega more than anything else. Frankie has long proven himself as a former champion in the division he was always the way smaller man in, as well as the fact that he's fought the who's who in the lightweight division over the years. But despite all that, he's just slightly favored to beat Ortega, who's coming in on a major high-profile fight on relatively short notice. It says a lot about what the bookmakers and the fans see in Ortega, and he has definitely earned that respect. Which is what makes it all the more impressive that Edgar never even thought twice about accepting the bout when he easily could have chosen to sat out and wait till Holloway was recovered and ready to go. He's the type of guy that really believes he's the best in the world, and his actions speak to this. As dangerous as Ortega is, this is Frankie Edgar's fight to lose. Between his willingness and taking the stylistic matchup into account, I'm picking Frankie to get the win here and to hold on to that #1 contender spot, and to get that much-deserved title shot against Max Holloway. I'm not a master fight picker or anything of the like, and it's always hard to make these predictions, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Frankie gets the finish in this fight. I do hold Ortega in the highest regard. He has earned his crack at the #1 contender without question, and I definitely see he's definitely going to do big things down the line. But Frankie put it best when he was in studio this week on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. He said, "He's the future of the division, but I'm the present."